Control what you can control, as we're now joined by Dallas sports reporter Garrett Podell, coming to us live from Arlington. Cowboys on the bubble, dropping tonight's game would give them about a 1% chance to make the postseason. But what is your sense of the Cowboys' mindset heading into tonight's game?
Yeah, Keiana, great to join you here from AT&T Stadium. And yeah, when speaking to Dak, as you saw, he was pretty loose about it. He was asked, do you think about where you're at in the playoff contention race when you're sitting at home? And he said, yeah, I do. He said the weight isn't heavy. He said he's not sitting around going, oh my God, this is so stressful. But he did say that it's something that he thinks about regularly and just kind of is resigned to this is how it is now for the Cowboys. They have to win out and they have to get help from the Philadelphia Eagles and or other teams at the back end of the wild card picture. So this is a team that kind of understands where they are, understands how they got themselves into kind of this mess of being on the outside looking in and just knowing, hey, 1 week at a time. And here it is with Minnesota, a great opportunity for them in prime time.
Well, let's talk more about Minnesota, because despite being a long shot for the postseason, I mean, Dallas is a team that they can't quite overlook, especially a Vikings defensive unit that has the highest blitz rate in the NFL this season. But what are your thoughts on Dak and co facing this Brian Flores-led defense?
That's a great point, Keiana. Brian Flores and the Vikings, they do blitz 49.2% of the time, highest rate in football. But Dak said, I've been starting the league 10 years. There really isn't a blitz that he hasn't seen in his career. He said that doesn't make it easy. He referenced on Thanksgiving opening drive, he got blitzed by Chiefs DC Steve Spagnuolo, got hit, threw a pick early, and he said, I want to avoid that. It's a fun cat and mouse game, and Dak's been really good against the blitz this year. He's number 3 in completion percentage, number 3 in passing yards against the blitz. Dak said really what he's going to be looking out for is, quote, funny coverages. He said, I've seen a lot of those this year, kind of junk defenses where it's a lot of guys up the line of scrimmage, maybe then they drop back and it's a lot of disguise coverage, different guys dropping into different zones. So he's expecting to see a lot of that from Brian Flores tonight, but he feels pretty comfortable going up against the blitz. And he said it starts to slow down a little bit after all the film prep work he's put in during the week.
What also makes it maybe a little bit more comfortable is having those weapons that Dak does have there as his pass catchers. And I'm looking at George Pickens, though, because he did make some headlines for his lack of effort last week. Some even saying he looks uninterested in his routes. But what can we expect from his role tonight?
Yeah, Richard Sherman, he said that Pickens looked, quote, uninterested post-game on the Amazon Prime broadcast of that game. But the Cowboys are expecting a big game from Pickens. Brian Schottenheimer said Pickens came into his office and said, yeah, Shotty, that wasn't my best game. And Brian Schottenheimer said it wasn't anyone's best game. And he said, we're talking about this right now after Pickens had his second lowest receiving yardage total, 37, since he had 30 in week 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. But it's something where they say George Pickens was setting the world on fire for 5 or 6 weeks here. He's still top 5 in nearly every receiving metric as on the whole for this NFL season. And so they expect a big week from Pickens. CeeDee Lamb said, yeah, people were just waiting for Pickens to slip up. But Dak said Pickens is, quote, had a hell of a week at practice. And so the Cowboys expect a big game from number 3 tonight.
Well, meanwhile, it's been an up and down season for the QB Dallas will be facing tonight. And I'm talking about J.J. McCarthy. But how's Dallas's defense just approaching this matchup tonight?
I had a chance to talk to defensive tackle Kenny Clark about facing J.J. McCarthy, who's last in the NFL in completion percentage, in touchdown to interception ratio, and passer rating here in his first year as the Vikings starting quarterback. And he said, as a pass rusher, you're looking at McCarthy as someone who's elusive. He'll hide behind his offensive lineman and spin out. That's what Kenny Clark said to me. And he said they expect a lot of play action from Minnesota. They run play action at the 13th highest rate in the NFL to try and slow the pass rush down, as well as max protect, having tight ends and running backs in the formation help chip and give McCarthy more time. So they're expecting a lot of help up front in terms of the schematics for McCarthy tonight, but they're excited to face him.
Absolutely. And it also appeared this would be the week Trevon Diggs would be activated off IR, but instead he's going to miss an 8th straight game, Garrett. And Dallas has one more week to activate him. Otherwise, he's going to miss the rest of the year. But what more can you just tell us about this situation?
Keiana, this is a situation with Trevon Diggs that's kind of been simmering since the offseason. Trevon Diggs had a chondral graft procedure to clean up some stuff in his knee, and the Cowboys wanted him to rehab at the team facility during organized team activities, but Diggs opted to train out in Miami by himself. And the Cowboys, they didn't appreciate that. And they triggered a clause in his 5-year, $97 million contract to dock his pay $500,000 on the season. And then he did, beat expectations by suiting up in week 1 from that knee injury. But then it was kind of rocky. Matt Eberflus has come in, the new defensive coordinator, and run zone defense at the 10th highest rate in the NFL this season after Trevon Diggs and Deron Bland. They were league interception leaders under Dan Quinn when the team was running man coverage at the 3rd highest rate in the league. Diggs has kind of publicly challenged Eberflus's high use of zone, low use of man, 6th lowest in the league this season. And Eberflus hasn't really liked that. And he said, we're going to focus on the coverages that we think will dictate how we're going to play each matchup. And so this is kind of a tense situation here with Diggs. I mean, I've seen him in practice running around. He looks like, he's healthy enough to play. I asked Trevon at his locker on Friday after practice, when did you feel comfortable with your knee? And he told me last week. He felt like it was good last week, but this week he said he practiced more and he had expected to play. So this is kind of an awkward situation. And if he doesn't get activated next week, there could be a divorce in Dallas between Diggs and the Cowboys this offseason.
You said it perfectly, a tense situation that we're still waiting to see how this continues to develop. Again, 1 more week for a decision to be made. But like you said, if things don't quite go that way that maybe we are thinking, things could be headed for a breakup for the two parties. As always, Garrett Podell, we appreciate you always stopping by. Enjoy the game, all right?
Thank you for having me, Keiana. Great to see you as always.